Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch that was launched in 2009, and it's really a modern classic. Definitely larger than your average dress watch, however. This is the Vacheron Constantin Patrimony Traditionnelle Chronograph. Now, back then, Patrimony and Traditionnelle were all one line. Well, today, this watch featuring Dauphine-style hands would be part of the Traditionnelle line that features that style of hand. Patrimony would include baton-style hands. The watch, of course, is white gold, 42 millimeters in diameter, 11.1 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 50 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Throw the watch on the wrist. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see what I mean about this being fairly large for a dress watch. Now, it is a dress complication, and with the tachymeter, it's even a sporty dress complication, but still, this is definitely a different sensibility about sizing than, for example, something along the lines of a Patek Philippe 5170, which is under 40 millimeters. That said, if you've got a bigger wrist, this is definitely going to be a good match. I think you could wear this well on a wrist down to 15 centimeters circumference and far larger, and it would look great. It's thin enough, too, that it'll slide underneath the cuff, as a dress watch from Vacheron should. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see the lugs are drilled very close to the case, and a curved spring bar gives the strap a full range of motion in spite of that close coupled juncture. We have a medium rectangular scale alligator leather, black with a matte finish. There is some bolstering to give it thickness. You can see that the side is sheer cut. There is a monotone stitch, and on the underside, black calfskin. It is a brand new Vacheron factory strap, and there's a Vacheron factory deployant buckle in white gold. You can see it's got that Maltese Cross motif inside on the buckle, and we have a combination of media blasting and polish internally. It's a double fold deployant, and you can see that the buckle is held to the case using a screw and a bar, so that's how that works. So I should say it's held to the strap, and then the buckle actually has a reinforcing screw on the bottom. This is used sometimes on deployant clasp to provide an extra measure of security against dropping the watch, so it can never pull out of the buckle, so to speak. Rolling around the case, it's fairly intricate and well detailed. The lugs break out dramatically from the case band. There's a little bit of an inward setback of the conical bezel from the mid case. There's this character line that runs lug to lug across the case, and then you can see there's fluting on the underside of the lugs, and they come to a little bit of a teardrop downward taper. There's also coining along the setback case back, and we have vintage-inspired shouldered rectangular pushers with a round Vacheron branded crown. The dial is what would be called Opaline silver, so it's a frosted matte silver rather than a sunburst grain. Outboard, there is a tachymeter that is calibrated in kilometers per hour, so they're going to make that assumption for you. You can use it with the chronograph to gauge the speed of, say, a race car over a kilometer. We have hands, Vacheron logo, and applique hour indices made of white gold and rhodium plated. Then you can see the hands at center. The Dauphine hands have been half frosted for better contrast against the dial base. There are two different silver tones used here. You can see there's one that's used for the seconds and minutes track, and then it's used again for the sub-registers, and then there's that Opaline soft silver for the rest of the dial. You can see the watch features inboard Arabic numerals to make it easier to gauge chronograph seconds when reading the chronograph scale. We have constant seconds in a sunken sub-register. Opposite, we have chronograph minutes, and then when you turn the watch over, you can see this is caliber 1141. Now, 1141 is based on the Lemania 2310, and it is very handsomely finished. You get the works here, no expense spared. They have not held back. I will say this, though, for technical reasons that do not have to do with finishing, the movement does not feature the Geneva seal. I think it's a misconception about Vacheron chronos from this era. They do not feature the Poisson de Genève in most cases. Make no mistake, though, the finishing is immaculate. So it is the Lemania 2310 base, which was also the Omega 321 in a different form. This is the same movement used, for example, in the Patek Philippe 5070. So it's a manual one with a 48-hour power reserve. It beats weight 18,000 vibrations per hour. It has an overcoil hairspring that allows the watch to breathe concentrically or keep consistent time in any position with respect to gravity. You can see between the regulator and the bridge adjacent for the escape wheel, there's a little golden wire, and that is a hooking guard to prevent the hairspring from hooking over the regulator in the case of shock. Now we have a column wheel lateral clutch chronograph. See the column wheel rotating and the clutch moving into and out of contact with the center chronograph driving wheel. Of course, the column wheel makes for crisp feel and sound, and then the lateral clutch, while not as efficient as a vertical clutch, it is more attractive to the eye. This is a 21 joule movement that's adjusted in a true high horology. 5 positions. You can see that the steel components of the chronograph feature satinated tops and mirrored bevel on their sides. Not easy to do on a material as hard as steel. There's Cote de Genève across the rather spare brass bridges. You can see mirrored bevel on the edge of every bridge. Every screw head black polished with a chamfered circumference and a chamfered slot. And then you can see there's engine turning in 2 different sizes on the base plate. All of this water resistant down to 30 meters. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.